Alrighty, so let's take a look at color grading. So here's a photograph that has been processed fairly cleanly, but for one of the examples, the sky may not be exactly where we want it to be. So let's take a look at the sky. So what we're going to do is we would start with a layer, and if you guys notice that we've got two layers going. One of these is the left-hand side roof where there was an adjustment done, and you'll notice that I actually named it. So if I undo it, you can see it gets washed out, and then if I go back in, it gets dark again. So that's the adjustment I did there. Now for the adjustment layer for the sky, I haven't named it yet. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is tap on the name, and I can go in and just start typing in a name. So I'm just going to call this sky, and there we go. So this helps you understand what the different layers are if you are creating separate layers for adjustments. Now, with that adjustment still there, you'll notice that the only basic thing that was done was some adjustment on the color temperature and an adjustment on the actual exposure itself. But what we want to look at is what color grading can do for us for this sky. So if we go in and we click on, well, there was some dehaze added too, by the way. If we go to color editor, we have the ability to adjust individual colors. So for example, if I click on the blue, I can go in and I can kick the saturation up of the blue, or I can pull the saturation down of the blue. Now for us, we definitely don't want to do that, so we want to keep it. We can also shift the tone of the blue. For example, if we feel that it's a little too teal looking or cyan looking, we can then take it, in another direction, or we can go completely the other direction and make it more of an indigo. You'll also notice that as I'm sliding these sliders, the little preview over here works a little quicker, which is kind of nice. It's kind of like what Lightroom does when you look at presets and things. So basically, if I start sliding this over, I can see what it's actually doing over there, probably a little bit quicker than I can see on the actual image. Now, the other thing I might consider doing here with the color editor in this one would be dragging the slider down on the lightness and just make the blue darker. And then that's looking pretty good. We want to keep it kind of looking kind of natural. So probably about there. And then I would pull this down a little bit on the saturation. And that's looking pretty good. Minus about 7 there. So now if we look at this image, we've got a variety of different things going on here. In fact, there are a couple of different layers. There's one for adjusting the sky, which is a graduated filter applied. And then we've also got a dehaze going on for the actual hills themselves, done separately, just so that it works a little bit more powerfully. Now, for our purposes here, we're going to go ahead and work on the sky adjustment. And instead of doing the color editor here for color grading, I could also use the color balance, which gives me the sliders here. So this is the slider to do all colors. So if I was to go in and warm this up, it might go in and do what I want because I'm only got that layer going on the sky. Or if I want to go the other direction and make the sky a little bit cooler, it would basically go in and do a pretty good job doing that. You just have to be careful not to go too far. You can also choose to just do certain parts of the sky. So for example, I could do three-way where I could look at all three of them at the same time. Or if I know I just want to do shadows and midtones, I could just do that. So I'll pull down the midtone. Let's see what that does. So before and after. And then I can also see what it does on the highlight. Now, even though I did both of those, you can see that I might need to do some adjustment on them to make them maybe a little less saturated. So I might have to pull it back a little bit this way. So you just kind of have to find that exact color that you want. And you can also, once you've applied it, you can also slide down this and pull it back nice and straight and linear so that you can be accurate for what you want. So like if I feel it's a little too strong, I can probably swing it to here. And I can also balance it out, like how much it actually applies it. So that's basically how to go in and do color grading.